Chapter 36. Time passed slowly. Just as Wang Chong was quietly waiting for the cold forging of the Wuxia steel weapons to be completed, 10 days later, a piece of news from the desolate border shook the entire capital. Yao Guangyi, this famous general of the Tang dynasty, known for his schemes, the third son of Old Master Yao, suddenly left the camp when the Baiyue who invaded the border. He led his army and mysteriously appeared near the camp of the second son of Duke Zhou, Wang Yan. The strangest thing was that Wang Yan's army, which was supposed to be the closest to the invasion site and was supposed to be guarding the camp, had coincidentally retreated 50 li away from the camp a day before the invasion of the Baiyue tribe. Thus, for the first time, such a strange thing happened at the border camp. The army that was supposed to be guarding the camp was watching the battle from the rear, but the army that wasn't supposed to be guarding the camp replaced Wang Yan and swiftly defeated the invading Hu army. In the several hundred years since the establishment of the Tang dynasty, such a strange phenomenon had never happened at the border. Now, as the parties involved in this matter, be it Yao Guangyi or Wang Yan, they were both silent, treasuring their words like gold. But in the capital, this strange attack had already caused a huge uproar, causing the entire capital to be in an uproar. Before the Hu could even cause any damage, they were already invaded by the Tang army. From this point of view, the attack was just a trivial matter at the border, not worth mentioning. But the people in the capital weren't fools. This matter involved Old Master Yao's third son, Yao Guangyi, and also involved Duke Zhou's descendant, Wang Yan. Furthermore, it was during the intense battle between the King of Song and King Qi, so this matter wasn't as simple as it seemed. Even a fool would know that if Wang Yan hadn't inexplicably and coincidentally decided to retreat 50 li away half a day before Yao Guangyi appeared, everything would be completely different. Thinking about it, Wang Yan and Yao Guangyi, two great generals of the imperial court, had joined hands to defend against the enemy. Putting aside the truth, just the simple fact that the Yao and Wang clans had joined hands was enough to give the various parties in the capital too many hints and interpretations. People don't believe what you say, they only believe what they see. But now, when Yao Guangyi appeared with his army, Wang Yan took the initiative to avoid arousing suspicion. His army retreated 50 li in advance, away from the battlefield. This caused the entire incident to turn into a farce of Yao Guangyi marching 100 li, acting and directing it himself, replacing Wang Yan to defeat the Hu. In the capital, even a fool could tell that this was deliberate and plotted against him. Regardless of what the Yao clan wanted to do, at least Wang Yan had used his actions to clearly show the Wang clan's attitude. Yao Guangyi, the sly and cunning old fox of the imperial court, had never lost a battle. He had single-handedly instigated the conflict between the Song and Qi factions, and had almost defeated the King of Song. However, this was the first time he had suffered a defeat at the border, in the field he was most proficient in. Furthermore, it was done in an extremely clumsy manner, making everyone laugh at her. Haha, that's great. When the news reached the King of Song's mansion, the King of Song slammed his palm on the table, knocking the letter into his palm. The worries and frustrations of the past few days were swept away. At this moment, the King of Song felt unprecedentedly relaxed. Wang Jingji, I didn't misjudge you. I didn't misjudge the Wang clan. As long as I have the Wang clan and Duke Zhou's support, even if everyone were to leave and betray me, what do I have to fear? The King of Song sat in the main hall, beaming with joy. In the past half a month, this was the best news he had heard. Wang Yan had used his own method to show the Wang clan's attitude. At this moment, the final bit of doubt in the King of Song's heart was dispelled. Hee, Your Highness, I said that Wang Yan wouldn't betray you. Am I right? Below the main hall, Lu Ting, dressed in a green robe, looked at the King of Song with a faint smile on his face. Academic Lu, you can say whatever you want on this matter. The King of Song pressed his hands on the armrests and stood up from his throne. I just want to know what King Qi thinks of this matter. That bastard! I nearly fell for his trap. Thinking back to everything that had happened, the King of Song felt a lingering fear in his heart. King Qi and Yao Guangyi had poached too many people from his side. At the worst, he couldn't even eat. Everyone was suspicious of him. After standing in the imperial court for so many years, King Song was well aware of what the people at his side would think if they felt that they were being doubted and doubted. In the end, it wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that he would be deserted by his own people. He was only half a step away from this step. Thankfully, Wang Yan woke him up at the last step. As long as Wang Yan and the entire Wang clan supported him, he wouldn't have lost too badly. He would still have a chance to turn the tables. King Qi's side had completely failed. The King of Song thought as he turned to look at the old butler behind him. Even though the old butler's expression was cold and inflexible, he quickly understood his master's thoughts. "Your Highness, I admit that I was wrong on this matter. I was overly suspicious and wronged the Wang clan. If possible, I am willing to head over and personally apologize to General Wang," the old butler said calmly. Back then, he was the one who invited Wang Yan to the King of Song residence. It was also the one who advised the King of Song to be wary of others when he trusted Wang Yan. Reality had proven that Yao Guangyi and King Qi were the ones who framed the Wang clan. Wang Yan was completely trustworthy. Even though he was in the wrong, the old butler didn't feel depressed. Instead, he felt happy for the King of Song. "Hee, what do you think I am doing? I was the one who planned this matter, so what has it got to do with you? You won't be looking for Wang Yan. When it's Duke Jiu's birthday, I'll personally apologize to him and explain this matter." The King of Song waved his hands. Wang Yan knew that he had to retreat 50 li. This meant that the Wang clan wasn't a fool on this matter. At the very least, they could sense his suspicions. The King of Song wasn't an irresponsible person. A mistake was a mistake, and he wouldn't blame the people around him. "Hee, Your Highness, don't worry. Duke Jiu won't mind. When the time comes, I will accompany Your Highness." Upon seeing this sight, Lu Ting clapped his hands and chuckled. This was the King of Song he knew. Even though he would be blinded by other matters, he would always recognize his mistakes quickly. Furthermore, he never lacked the courage and determination to admit his mistakes. Given his esteemed identity as a member of the royal family, this was a rare trait. This was also the reason why he was so loyal to the King of Song. "However, Your Highness, don't you find something strange?" Lu Ting suddenly smiled. Wang Yan has always been an upright and straightforward person. How did he know that Yao Guangyi would lead his troops near his encampment? Furthermore, how could he predict the enemy's movements and retreat 50 li? This doesn't seem like something he would do. If Wang Yan had always been this straightforward, Yao Guangyi wouldn't have chosen to make a move on him back then. Then he wouldn't have suffered such a huge setback at the borders and become a laughingstock. "You mean?" The King of Song's body trembled. After being reminded by Lu Ting, he revealed a contemplative expression for the first time. Previously, he was too focused on rejoicing that he didn't ponder over the various oddities in this matter. Indeed, this wasn't the first day that he and Lu Ting knew Wang Yan. He was well aware of Wang Yan's character. This time, Yao Guangyi made a fool of himself and made a fool of himself. This was indeed unlike Wang Yan's usual style. Could this be Duke Jiu's idea? The King of Song thought about it and could only think of the esteemed old master of the Wang clan. If this wasn't Wang Yan's idea, then it could only be the old master of the Wang clan guiding him. Thinking about it, only the old master of the Wang clan had the capability to guide him. Hee, Duke Jiu has stood in the royal court for decades. Now that he has retired, he has been summoned to the Four Quarters Embassy to be interrogated by His Majesty. I do hope that it's him. However, scheming have never been Duke Jiu's forte. Besides, the Holy Emperor is far away. No matter how formidable the old master is, he spends his days in the Four Quarters Embassy. How could he have foreseen that Yao Guangyi would appear in Wang Yan's territory? Lu Ting said. "It's not the old master?" The King of Song frowned. He thought that he had already guessed the answer. He didn't expect Lu Ting to refute it completely. But if it wasn't the old master, who could it be? Yao Guangyi wasn't a weakling. To be able to match up to him in terms of intelligence and make him suffer such a huge loss without making a sound, this wasn't something that just anyone could do. In the entire Wang clan, there was no one who fulfilled this criteria. Duke Jiu's eldest son, Wang Zhen, was a count and was skilled in politics, so there was a possibility. However, he was a civilian and didn't command troops. As such, he knew nothing about military affairs, so it was impossible for him to guide Wang Yan. His youngest son, Wang Dian, was an instructor at Celestial Dragon Mountain, and he was a brute. Thus, he couldn't help Wang Yan in this aspect. The rest were all Nvlai, who was the one guiding Wang Yan from behind the scenes. How could his means be so profound and simple? Just by retreating 50 li, he was able to make Yao Guangyi's fist land on empty air without making a sound? This person's eyes were so sharp, and his thoughts and means were so profound. If such a figure were to appear to help him, wouldn't he be like a tiger that had grown wings? This time, Yao Guangyi and King Qi's attempt to poach him had caused him to be utterly isolated. This made the King of Song realize that he was lacking such a person by his side. Even though Lu Ting wasn't bad, he specialized in analysis and lacked strategy. He was still lacking compared to the person who guided Wang Yan. But who could it be? The King of Song racked his brains, but he couldn't come up with an answer. Your Highness, have you forgotten that there is actually another person? Lu Ting said. The King of Song raised his head and blurted out. Your Highness, have you forgotten that Wang Yan still has a third young master? Didn't your Highness send him a gift not too long ago? Lu Ting smiled, but there was a deep meaning in his eyes. Who are you talking about? The King of Song was shocked. He finally knew who Lu Ting was talking about. Impossible. Even if Lu Ting said that it was the enemy of the Yao clan, the King of Song wouldn't be so shocked. After all, Lu Ting was talking about a teenager. The King of Song couldn't believe that a teenager could see through Yao Guangyi's scheme and command a battle from 1,000 li away. Hee, I'm just saying. Lu Ting said, Your Highness, have you forgotten that the one who laughs last laughs best, and Bao Xian's matter? These two things don't seem like something an ordinary teenager would do. Hong Long. Lu Ting's words were like a bolt of lightning flashing across the King of Song's mind. In that instant, the shock in the King of Song couldn't be any greater. Indeed, if it didn't seem like something a teenager could do, then what the Wang clan's third young master did seemed like something an ordinary child could do. The King of Song recalled Lu Ting's words. Could the conflict between the Wang clan and the Yao clan in Vast Crane Pavilion be initiated by one of the parties? If the truth was really like this, then it would be too shocking. Of course, all of this was just a conjecture. Just like what Lu Ting said, it was just a saying. But even so, it was sufficient for the King of Song to remember the name, Wang Chong, deeply and leave an indelible impression on him. It's going to be Duke Jiu's birthday soon. No matter what, I have to meet this Wang Chong personally. Chapter 37. Bastard, Bastard, Bastard. At the same time, in another resplendent King Qi residence, a furious roar accompanied by a pillar of golden clouds shot into the sky. In an instant, lightning flashed in the sky above King Qi residence. However, the golden lightning only lingered 100 zhang above the King Qi residence and it didn't affect anything else. Yao Guangyi, you disappoint this king too much. In that instant, the fury and disappointment in King Qi's heart was indescribable. Before he set off, Yao Guangyi had assured him that nothing would go wrong. On account of Old Master Yao and Yao Guangyi's past achievements, he suppressed the rage in his heart and turned a blind eye to the mistake in the Vast Crane Pavilion. He didn't expect Yao Guangyi to give him such an explanation. Not only did Yao Guangyi fail to drive a wedge between the Song and Wang clan, his farcical actions by the borders made him the laughingstock of the entire capital. Yao Guangyi was his subordinate and he had always viewed him as his right-hand man. Yao Guangyi's failure was his own failure. Right now, those people in the royal court were laughing at him. King Qi was a prideful person and he couldn't accept failure. How could he tolerate such humiliation? Where's Yao Guangyi? Call Yao Guangyi over. King Qi was furious. Everyone in the King Qi residence, including the hundreds of people, kept quiet out of fear, not daring to utter a single word. Pass my token to Yao Guangyi. I want to tear off his head. King Qi's furious voice echoed in the residence. A moment later, a warhorse left the residence and galloped toward the borders. Duke of Wei's residence, Duke of Su's residence, Duke of Lin's residence, Duke of Zheng's residence, Duke of Yao's residence, King of Han's residence, King of Chu's residence, Prime Minister's residence. The entire incident caused a huge reaction among the upper echelons and nobles of Tang dynasty. However, no one knew that at this moment, Yao Guangyi's feelings were far more profound than anyone else's. Impossible. This is impossible. At the border, Yao Guangyi sat on the back of a horse. On the way back, he passed through many forests. He was in a daze as though he had lost his soul. In the battle against the Hu, he was a complete and utter winner. He didn't suffer many losses and he managed to defeat the invading Bai Yuehu. At the moment of their death, Yao Guangyi could clearly see the confused expressions on their faces. He shouldn't have been the one to face them. It shouldn't have been like this. It shouldn't have been like this. If it was in the past, Yao Guangyi would have enjoyed such a feeling. If it was in the past, Yao Guangyi would have enjoyed this feeling. If it was in the battle, Yao Guang King Yao. Because Yao Guangyi clearly knew that in the other battle against Wang Yan and the Wang clan, he had already suffered a crushing defeat. He had lost without any suspense. It shouldn't be like this, it shouldn't be like this. Where did I lose? Yao Guangyi muttered to himself, as though he had lost his soul. His mind was filled with thoughts related to this matter. Before he carried out this matter, he had already carefully deliberated in his mind countless times. He only took action when there were no oversights. No matter how powerful Wang Yan was, it was impossible for him to predict that he would plot against him at the border. Yao Guangyi recalled the information that the scouts had sent back after they set off. Just as he led his army out and was about half a day away from Wang Yan's camp, he received news from his scouts. Everything was normal. Wang Yan's army was still in the camp, and there were no signs of movement. These scouts were all seasoned veterans who had followed him for decades. It was because of this news that he was confident that his plan would succeed. However, what Yao Guangyi never expected was that when he led his army to Wang Yan's encampment, what awaited him was an empty camp. And the mastermind, Wang Yan, had strangely appeared 50 li behind him, watching from the sidelines. Yao Guangyi was stunned. Regardless of whether he was willing or not, when those who appeared, Yao Guangyi knew that he had no other choice. He could only lead his army to face them and take over Wang Yan's original role. He had suffered a crushing defeat in this battle. As an important part of sowing discord between the Song and Wang clan, his plan had completely failed. King Qi didn't know how furious he should be. Who was the one who schemed against him? Yao Guangyi's mind was in turmoil. Impossible. If he really had such capabilities, he wouldn't have dared to incite King Qi to plan this series of operations against the King of Song. Who is it? 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 In that instant, Yao Guangyi's back was drenched in cold sweat. After fighting in the royal court for so many years, this was the first time he felt a strong sense of unease. Just the thought of an invisible person, who was as resourceful and adaptable as him hiding behind the scenes to help the Wang clan made Yao Guangyi feel uneasy, as though there was a dagger at his back. Ha! Yao Guangyi, you have miscalculated. Different from Yao Guangyi, at this moment, Wang Yan was overseeing his territory and he was extremely happy. At this moment, in Wang Yan's camp, he was slaughtering chickens and goats, and fine wine was being brewed. Wang Yan had already passed down orders to reward the 3 armies. Even though this battle was fought by Yao Guangyi, Wang Yan was even more excited than Yao Guangyi. Everyone thought that Wang Yan was happy for Yao Guangyi because they were both officials in the royal court. However, no one knew that Wang Yan wasn't thinking of this. Wang Yan didn't have much talent in politics. Thus, when Yao Guangyi schemed against him in the vast crane pavilion, Wang Yan didn't know that Yao Guangyi left the capital and secretly returned to his camp to deal with him. However, this didn't mean that the Hu had crossed the border. When his scouts found out that Yao Guangyi's army had defied military orders and was heading in his direction, he was still unaware of it. The military order of the Tang dynasty dictated that no general was to retreat when facing the invasion of foreign tribes. They had to shoulder the responsibility of repelling the enemy and protecting the territory of the Tang dynasty. Those who disobeyed would be dealt with according to military law. Regardless of whether he was willing to or not, when Yao Guangyi appeared with his army, he had to work together with Yao Guangyi to fend off the Hu. He didn't have any grudges with Yao Guangyi, but the two of them weren't that close. Yao Guangyi's move was too intentional. If not for his third son Wang Chong's constant reminder, if not for his vigilance, he would have already fallen into Yao Guangyi's trap. The Yao and Wang clan will work together to bury the hatchet. Just thinking about the commotion this news would cause in the capital, Wang Yan couldn't help but break out in cold sweat. When his third son Wang Chong said that Yao Guangyi intentionally kept silent in the vast crane pavilion to frame him, Wang Yan didn't believe him back then. But at this moment, how could he still doubt it? Chonga, how did he know? Dressed in military armor, Wang Yan faced the north. After the initial agitation and excitement had passed, there was only a single thought left in his mind. There were simply too many doubts in Wang Yan's mind. His third son, Wang Chong, was only a 15-year-old child. He was rebellious and disobedient. It wasn't just the kidnapping of women, there were also many other things that really disappointed him. Wang Yan couldn't understand how a 15-year-old child like Wang Chong could know that Yao Guangyi was trying to frame him, and how did he know that Yao Guangyi would use such a method to deal with him that day? Yao Guangyi wasn't an ordinary person. Wang Yan couldn't understand how a child like Wang Chong could know of such a secretive military matter. If not for the military order, Wang Yan would have flown back to the capital to look for Wang Chong personally to ask him about it. The capital should have received my news by now. At the peak of the mountain, Wang Yan's cloak fluttered in the wind as he gazed at the gloomy sky in the distance. A few days ago, he had sent a letter back to the capital. Thinking about it, Wang Chong should have received it by now. The training at Wuxia Steel was in full swing. As usual, Wang Chong returned home after supervising the cold forging. Mother! Wang Chong pushed open the door with both of his hands. The moment he stepped through the door and called out to his mother, he was stunned. The usually spacious hall was suddenly filled with people. None of them spoke. When they saw Wang Chong enter, they raised their heads and looked over. Mother! Big uncle! Uncle! Cousin! Seeing these people who wouldn't normally appear here, Wang Chong's heart skipped a beat. He suddenly had a bad feeling. It was too quiet. Everyone was here. Other than for his grandfather's birthday, Wang Chong had never seen so many people at home. He had never seen such a scene in the past. Especially Big Uncle, who sat there with an indiscernible expression on his face. Could it be that old Master Yao reported me to the Holy Emperor? Did something happen? Wang Chong's heart skipped a beat. Just when he was feeling uneasy, his vision suddenly darkened. Wang Chong felt his body tightening. A figure rushed over and hugged him tightly. Chonga. Just when Wang Chong was about to struggle and resist, he heard a gentle voice. It was his mother. Chong, your father said everything in the letter. Child, you have finally grown up and become sensible. Mother has wronged you in the past. Madame Wang Zhaoshuhua's tears fell onto Wang Chong's chest. Ever since Wang Chong reincarnated, this was the first time he saw her so agitated. Wang Chong was taken aback. His gaze swept past his mother's armpit and saw the envelope on the table not too far away. The handwriting on it was extremely familiar to Wang Chong. It's father's handwriting. Countless thoughts flashed across Wang Chong's mind. Wang Chong vaguely thought of something. He slowly opened his arms and hugged his mother. Mother! Wang Chong finally understood why so many people would appear here. After such a long time, is there finally news from father's side? Judging from his mother's reaction, his efforts didn't go to waste. For the last time, father finally listened to his advice. Chapter 38. Meihua, you and your mother can talk about it later. This time, we have something important to ask Chong. We have to clarify the matter regarding the Yao and Wang clan, as well as the King of Song. Suddenly, a deep and dignified voice resounded in Wang Chong's ears. Raising his head, Wang Chong saw a middle-aged man in his 40s seated at the center of the room, in the most prominent position. His face was stern and meticulous. Just by sitting there, he exuded an authoritative and rational aura. With a single look, one could tell that this kind of person was suited to take up an important position in the royal court. And in truth, he was indeed one. Big uncle. A thought flashed across Wang Chang's mind. This person was his big uncle, Wang General. In his previous life, when Wang Chong first transcended to this world, he feared nothing in the world except for his big uncle, Wang Zhen, whom he wasn't close to. In this world, there were some people who would fly into a rage because they were angry, and it was only through their rage that they instilled fear in others. However, there were some people who seemed to be born to instill fear in others. It was as if it was ingrained in their bones that they didn't know how to laugh, and when they did, it was eerie and terrifying, even more so than crying. This big uncle of his was such a person. In fact, his cousin Wang Zhuyan, from a certain perspective, had inherited these genes from his big uncle, which was why Wang Chong felt so fearful of her. Since big uncle has said so, we'll just do as he says. Madame Wang, Zhao Shuhua, released her hands with an embarrassed expression. Clearly, she was fearful of this big uncle of Wang Chong's. In a feudal society, the eldest brother was the father. As the eldest son, Wang Zhen had a natural advantage in the Wang clan. This wasn't just limited to Zhao Shuhua, Wang Chong's big aunt, uncle, little uncle, and everyone else felt the same way. The moment big uncle spoke, everyone fell silent out of fear. Only Wang Chong's cousin Wang Zhuyan had quietened down. Only Wang Chong winked mischievously and gave her a thumbs up in encouragement. Wang Chong, let me ask you. Your father suddenly broke camp at the border and the army retreated 50 li, avoiding Yao Guangyi's plot. Your father said it was your doing. You were the one who told him. Let me ask you, is this true? Wang Chong's big uncle Wang Zhen stared at Wang Chong said. In an instant, Wang Chong's aunts and uncles also turned their gazes over. Everyone looked at Wang Chong, waiting for his answer. Even though his mother had already explained everything to them, Wang Chong could tell that no one believed that he was the culprit. Even cousin Wang Zhuyan didn't believe it at all. After all, compared to what he had done in the past, what he had done this time was far too shocking. It's me. Wang Chong was silent for a moment. He met everyone's gaze and nodded seriously. These two simple words had a completely different feeling in everyone's ears. Everyone looked at Wang Chong with complicated gazes. Even though Wang Chong's father had already explained the problem clearly in the letter he had sent to the clan, however, hearing the confirmation from Wang Chong's own mouth was still very shocking. Tell me what's going on? Wang Chong's uncle said coldly with a straight face. Wang Chong, don't be nervous. Your uncle doesn't want to interrogate you. At the side, Wang Chong's aunt, Wang Rushuang, quickly explained. You might not know this, but the incident at the border has caused a huge uproar in the capital. A few days ago, Yao Guangyi and his men appeared in your father's territory, trying to create the illusion that our Wang clan and the Yao clan have reconciled and are working together. Fortunately, your father listened to your words and led the army to retreat 50 li in advance, clearing his name and catching Yao Guangyi and the Yao clan off guard. Your father has stated all of this clearly in his letter. This is all thanks to you. In the battle with the Yao clan, our Wang clan has managed to turn the tables. Wang Chong, you're a great contributor to our Wang clan. Wang Chong was only a 15-year-old child, and there was no one in the Wang clan who didn't fear his big brother. Wang Chong's big aunt, Wang Rushuang, seemed to understand this point, so she tried to alleviate the tension with a smile. Also, it was your grandfather's intention to invite you here to understand the situation. You've done well, so there's no need to be nervous. Hearing Big Aunt's words, Wang Chong's heart skipped a beat and he immediately perked up. If he didn't remember wrongly, his grandfather was in the Four Quarters Embassy, providing policy support to the Holy Emperor at any moment. He had never been concerned with such trifling matters outside of the empire. The incident at the border had clearly caught his attention. Or to be more precise, it was he who had caught his attention. Of the Wang clan's younger generation, only his big brother and big cousin had caught his grandfather's attention. This was the first time that his grandson was valued by his grandfather. Wang Chong shot a glance at his mother, and her face was flushed red. Clearly, she already knew of this matter. Great. Wang Chong clenched his fists tightly, and his heart tightened. This was definitely an unexpected gain. In the Wang clan, even though his grandfather was advanced in age, he still wielded an unparalleled status. All of the authority, status, reputation, and influence of the Wang clan stemmed from his grandfather's contributions to the throne. In the royal court, his grandfather wielded immense influence. The reason why his big uncle and father were able to obtain their current standing was due to his grandfather's contributions. The reason why the Yao clan's Yao Guangyi, that old fart old Master Yao, and the noble King Qi were so wary of the Wang clan and were trying to separate the Wang clan and King Qi was because of his grandfather, who rarely showed himself in the Four Quarters Embassy. However, this wasn't what Wang Chong was concerned about. Can I take a look at the letter on the table? Wang Chong pointed to the white letter on the table. Of course, this was meant for you. The people in the room nodded. Wang Chong took the letter and glanced at it. The seal on the letter had already been removed. Clearly, the others had already read the contents of the letter. However, Wang Chong wasn't surprised at all. The King of Song and King Qi were the two most authoritative kings of the Tang dynasty in the royal court. Who knew how many important officials of the imperial court and generals of the border were involved in this matter? The conflict between factions in the royal court had always been incomparably treacherous. If the Wang clan were to get involved, a single mishap could lead to their demise. All of their authority, wealth, and standing would be reduced to ashes in an instant. It would be strange if the entire Wang clan didn't care about this matter and didn't want to get to the bottom of it. Opening the letter, Wang Chong took out the paper within. Bold and majestic words gushed out from the paper, and a sense of urgency could be felt from the words. It's father's handwriting. Wang Chong recognized his father's handwriting. In the letter, his father, Wang Yan, recounted the entire sequence of events. As expected, his father listened to his words. On the day that he mentioned, he sent scouts to check on Yao Guangyi's movements and retreated 50 li in advance. The entire matter didn't take too long. However, most of it was to ask Wang Chong about the contents of the matter. Wang Chong could sense the bewilderment in his father's heart. There was no doubt that there were too many things that he couldn't understand from start to finish. How did Wang Chong know that Yao Guangyi wanted to harm him? How did he know when the King of Song would send an envoy to fetch him? How did he know that the Hu would invade and that Yao Guangyi would send troops to his territory? If Wang Chong's performance had always been outstanding, wise, and intelligent, he would have been highly regarded by the clan and displayed astonishing talent. However, Wang Chong's performance in the past had always been worrisome. In fact, not too long ago, he had even abducted a female commoner, a despicable act that even a profligate scion wouldn't do. Just think about it, for such a person like Wang Chong to suddenly become so perceptive and wise overnight, who wouldn't be suspicious? Wang Chong raised his head and looked around. Big uncle, cousin, big aunt, uncle, and everyone else was looking at him in anticipation. This was the first time that Wang Chong had received the attention of so many people in the clan. Countless thoughts flashed across his mind. Wang Chong gradually calmed down. Many of the thoughts in his mind gradually became clearer. In his previous life, until the Wang clan completely fell into decline, Wang Chong had never received any attention from the clan. In the eyes of all the clan members, Wang Chong was a hopeless fool. However, the Wang clan wasn't an ordinary clan. In the entire Central Plains, there weren't many clans that could compare to the Wang clan. Wang Chong knew that if he could receive the attention of the clan, it would be of great help to his future plans. With the resources of the Wang clan, including grandfather, big uncle, big aunt, little uncle, father, big brother, cousin, and cousin. When all of them were combined, the strength they could muster was immense. This was something that he couldn't hope to achieve by himself. But before that, he had to win their trust and gain the acknowledgement of all of the clan members. In Wang Chong's plan, the first step to changing the Wang clan was completed. The next step was to enter the core of the clan, and this was the best opportunity. His grandfather, who lived in seclusion in the Four Quarters Embassy, rarely asked about the affairs of the younger generation. Even though big uncle, big aunt, and uncle had come this time, and they were the ones asking him questions, however, Wang Chong knew that the authoritative grandfather of his was the one who was asking him questions. The incident by the border had caused too great of an impact. His father unintentionally dodged Yao Guangyi's ploy, allowing the entire Wang clan to escape a calamity. This feat was simply too astonishing. It didn't seem possible for someone of his age to do so. At this moment, not only his grandfather, probably everyone wanted to know how he did it. Wang Chong could easily come up with many plausible excuses. For example, he could say that an otherworldly expert had told him about the Yao clan's scheme, or that he had accidentally overheard the Yao clan's plan to deal with the Wang clan and told his father about it. All of these were plausible. But if that was the case, it would be the opposite of his original goal. If he wanted to squeeze into the core of the clan and gain the respect of everyone, he had to display his brilliance and leave an unforgettable impression on them. Eldest uncle, I'm not sure if you still remember that not long ago, Ma Zhou used my name to kidnap a girl? Wang Chong raised his head to look at big uncle Wang Zhen, who had the highest standing in the group. I remember. Wang Zhen replied. His face was expressionless, but his heart suddenly skipped a beat. A bizarre feeling flashed across his mind. In the Wang clan, he was the eldest son. All of the authority and influence of the old master had been inherited by him. He wielded unparalleled authority in the clan, and there was almost no one in the Wang clan who didn't fear him. Putting aside the juniors like Wang Chong and Wang Zhuyen, even the elders like Wang Rushuang and Zhao Shuhua would feel fearful before him. Wang Chong had met him several times in the past, and each time he would cower in fear, not daring to even breathe loudly. But this time, this incompetent scum of the Wang clan actually dared to look him in the eye without any fear. Even Wang Chong's eldest and second brothers weren't capable of such a feat. This lad, Wang Zhen frowned. Honestly speaking, he didn't believe Wang Yan's words at all before coming here. How could someone like Wang Chong be able to guide Wang Yan? There was a high chance that Wang Yan was trying to protect his son in order to attract the attention of the old master. But now, looking at Wang Chong's calm and composed demeanor, Wang Zhen suddenly felt uncertain. Having been in the officialdom for several decades, he was able to discern whether he was truly fearless or feigning it. Chapter 39. Wang Chong observed his big uncle's expression and he knew what his big uncle was thinking. Honestly speaking, Wang Chong didn't like this big uncle of his. He liked to put on airs and flaunt his authority as an official. Before his parents, he would always act like an elder brother, looking down on them from above. Wang Chong didn't like him, and Wang Chong knew that he didn't like him, including his parents, big brother, second brother, little sister. Everyone. If it was possible, Wang Chong wished that he wouldn't appear before him forever. However, putting aside his hateful attitude, the Wang clan didn't have much of a conflict with him, and there wasn't any deep grudge between them. In fact, most of the time, their interests were interlinked. Just like this incident, if his father were to be assassinated by Yao Guangyi, not only would his father lose his position, but Big Uncle and the entire Wang clan would be in trouble. Thus, even though Big Uncle didn't like his parents, he still rushed over anxiously. At such a moment, not only would he not kick his father when he was down, he would even try his best to make use of his influence in the royal court to help his father. This was the reality of the entire Wang clan. Even though there might be some disagreements within the clan, they were all descendants of the Wang clan. If something were to happen, everyone would be affected. Thus, regardless of whether Wang Chong liked this big uncle or not, as long as Wang Chong wanted to change the fate of the Wang clan and the entire Central Plains, Wang Chong would have to convince his big uncle to help him. I've known Ma Zhou for quite some time. When I was with him, I treated him with all my heart and treated him with sincerity. Who would have thought that he would betray me and kidnap a girl in broad daylight? He even said that I was the one who ordered him to give her to me. Only after the incident did I realize that he was instructed by Yao Feng to approach me and frame me. As Wang Chong spoke, he put on an angry expression. At the same time, his mind spun furiously as he thought of an excuse. This is the first time I tried to befriend someone, but to think that it would end up like this. So, Ma Zhou was actually instructed by the Yao clan Gongzi, Yao Feng. I wasn't aware of this. With such a matter, I can't blame you for causing a ruckus at the vast crane pavilion. Wang Ru Shuang nodded her head. She was a woman, and after marrying outside, she could only be considered as half a member of the Wang family. Thus, she didn't have as much control over the family's matters as before. The conflict between Wang Chong and Yao Feng was reported to the Holy Emperor by Old Master Yao, but he didn't know that there was such an inside story. What are you trying to say by saying all this? Big Uncle Wang Zhen replied nonchalantly. He already knew what Wang Chong said. He had even investigated Ma Zhou's background. If he hadn't stopped him, Wang Chong would have been arrested and thrown into prison for kidnapping a woman in broad daylight. But he didn't say it out loud. Wang Zhen wasn't concerned about whether Wang Chong was framed or not. Even if Yao Feng was the one who framed him, he didn't mind at all. There was only one thing that he was concerned about. Wang Chong had caused a ruckus in the vast crane pavilion, injured Yao Feng, and was reported to the Holy Emperor by the Yao clan's old master Yao. In this conflict, the interests of the Wang clan had been harmed. This was what he was concerned about. What he cared about was the outcome, not the process. This was the reason why he rushed to the Wang family angrily after the court session ended. As for whether Wang Chong was framed or not, that wasn't important at all. Madame Wang Zhao Shu Hua listened by the side with an awkward expression. Her lips moved, but she didn't know what to say. It was after this incident that I came to my senses and realized how big of a mistake I had made in the past. Wang Chong didn't pay it any heed and continued speaking. Wang Chong's cousin Wang Zhu Yen and Aunt Wang Ru Shuang nodded their heads. They could sense the change in Wang Chong, but they couldn't tell where this change came from. Clearly, they accepted Wang Chong's words. Even though Wang Chong had suffered in the hands of Ma Zhou, he was still able to come to his senses in time. As a descendant of the Wang clan, this was undoubtedly something to be happy about. Seeing this, Wang Chong inwardly nodded and continued. Naturally, I couldn't accept the way Yao Feng treated me. Thus, I sneaked out to get close to him, intending to deal with him to vent the hatred in my heart. However, I didn't expect to hear an unexpected piece of news at that time. Yao Guangyi had arranged for father to meet at the vast crane pavilion, intending to deal with father and drive a wedge between father and the king of song. In the hall, Wang Chang's big uncle Wang Zhen, big aunt Wang Ru Shuang, big uncle Li Lin, and cousin Wang Zhu Yan's body jolted. Even Wang Chang's mother had a shocked expression on her face. Clearly, this was the first time she was hearing this truth from Wang Chong. Yao Feng sent Ma Zhou to deal with Wang Chong, and Wang Chong was infuriated. Thus, he went to look for Yao Feng, only to unintentionally overhear the shocking secret of the Yao clan plotting against the Wang clan. This could be explained. If the Yao clan were to fall because of this, they would be fated to meet their end. It wasn't surprising that Yao Guangyi would lose. Wang Chong took in everyone's reactions and nodded his head in satisfaction. This was an excuse that he had racked his brains to come up with. If he were to say that he had unintentionally overheard the news from a profligate scion, Big Uncle would only think that he was lucky and that it had nothing to do with his capabilities. Yao Guangyi wasn't an ordinary person, and this was something that Wang Zhen understood more than anyone else here, including Wang Chong. He did things discreetly, and he didn't leave any leeway. It was still understandable if Wang Chong heard about the matter regarding the vast crane pavilion from Yao Feng. However, it was impossible for him to have heard of Yao Feng's assassination at the borders as well. In truth, with Wang Zhen presiding over the royal court, his eyes and ears were always on the lookout. No news could escape his ears. However, he hadn't heard of any news regarding this matter. The old master's old friends in the military also didn't hear anything about it. If even he didn't know of such news, how could Wang Chong have heard of it? It's here. A thought flashed across Wang Chong's mind. He knew that the most important moment of the day was about to arrive. Big uncle, big aunt, uncle, and father might not know what Yao Guangyi was up to, but they understood his character. The matter of Yao Guangyi dealing with his father by the border was something that even Big Uncle, a well-connected person in the royal court, didn't know about. Yet, he, an ignorant and incompetent scum of the Wang clan in the distant capital, knew about it. This was probably something that many people, including grandfather, couldn't understand. His father by the borders, his grandfather in the Four Quarters Embassy, and his big uncle were probably here for this matter. Whether he would be able to convince them, change their impression of him, and earn the respect of the clan depended on this move. I didn't hear of this matter, but I guessed it. Wang Chong said. Guessed it? Other than Wang Chong's mother Zhao Shuhua, everyone, including Wang Chong's cousin Wang Zhuyen, was shocked. Big Uncle's thick eyebrows twitched, as though this was the first time he was meeting this scum of the Wang clan. How did you guess it? Big Uncle Wang Zhen asked. This answer was even more shocking than Wang Chong eavesdropping on Yao Guangyi's plan. Yao Guangyi's plans are flawless. On the surface, it might seem like a conflict between the Wang clan and Yao clan for him to plot against my father, but in reality, it's a conflict between the King of Song and King Qi. Such a huge matter has always been fraught with danger. Even though the matter at the vast crane pavilion has been foiled by my little sister and me, given Yao Guangyi's character, how could he give up so easily? That would be looking down on him too much. Back then, I knew that he had other schemes up his sleeves. Since he had already failed in the capital, Yao Guangyi couldn't play any more tricks here. Thus, if he wanted to deal with my father, he could only do it outside the capital. And in such a place, there was only one place where Yao Guangyi could execute his schemes, and that was my father's campsite. I have studied the map carefully, and Yao Guangyi's campsite isn't too far away from my father's. Back then, I deduced that Yao Guangyi's campsite was the best place for him to deal with my father. The moment Wang Chong said those words, the entire hall fell silent, to the point that one could hear a pin drop. Everyone stared at Wang Chong in shock, unable to say a word. Wang Chong's words were logical. If it were Wang Chong's big brother, second brother, or some other intelligent young genius, no one would be surprised. But Wang Chong, this was too shocking. Chapter 40. Good child, good child. You've really grown up and become sensible. Wang Chong's mother, Zhao Shuhua, was surprised and delighted. She wiped away her tears in agitation. She was delighted. Even without looking, she knew that her son's performance had won over the hearts of all members of the Wang clan. She had 4 children, 3 sons and 1 daughter. Of them, Wang Chong was the one she worried about the most. She had been worried about him a lot. Which mother didn't wish for their son to succeed in life? Wasn't that what a mother hoped for? Now, this child had finally grown up and become sensible. This was the most gratifying and joyous thing for her. And then? Big Uncle Wang Zhen asked. However, his voice wasn't as stern as before. It was clear that Wang Chong's words had left an extremely deep impression on him, greatly altering his impression of Wang Chong as a worthless fellow. I've looked into it carefully, and there aren't many places by the borders that Yao Guangyi can manipulate. Father has always maintained the status quo, so it's impossible for Yao Guangyi to do anything to his camp. And the most likely and easiest to think of is the who. Wang Chong said grimly. His eyes were bright and calm, and his words exuded a wise and far-sighted aura. Those who were familiar with him were astonished. They had watched Wang Chong grow up, but they had never seen such an expression on Wang Chong before. This child has really grown up. Big Aunt Wang Ru Shuang nodded her head. She was overjoyed. A while ago, when she heard that Wang Chong had caused a huge disaster in the vast crane pavilion, she was still furious. She felt that this child was too disappointing and had yet to grow up. But now, she didn't dare to think so. It said that even the most unfilial and mischievous boy would wake up one day. It seems like Chonger has really woken up. Big Aunt was overjoyed. Even though she was married out, she could only be considered as half a member of the Wang clan. But no matter where she married, her husband's clan and the Wang clan were bound together by the same fate. The youngest and most disappointing descendant of the Wang clan had suddenly come to his senses and displayed his hidden talents. This was something worth celebrating for the Wang clan. I've thought about it carefully. If I'm wrong, let's not talk about this. However, if my guess is correct, Yao Guangyi will definitely leave the capital soon and return to the borders. As it turns out, I guessed correctly. At this point, he had basically passed the test. Looking at first uncle's expression, he was basically satisfied with this inquiry. He could also explain it to his grandfather. However, Wang Chong was well aware that this alone was far from enough to gain the recognition of all the family members and squeeze into the core of the family. At most, the incident at the border had changed the impression that his uncles, aunts, uncles, and even his father had of him. If he wanted them to look at him in a different light and pay more attention to his opinions, he had to show off his abilities and display more of his abilities in front of everyone. Eldest uncle, the matter at the border has been concluded. Even though Yao Guangyi had failed twice in a row, the entire Yao clan had yet to suffer a huge blow. If nothing goes wrong, the Yao clan's old master Yao will probably seek peace with grandfather soon. Wang Chong said, "What? Old master Yao will seek peace with the old master? How is that possible?" Upon hearing Wang Chong's words, everyone in the room was astonished. "Wang Chong, are you joking? The Yao clan's old master is a wily old fox, and given his standing, how could he possibly seek peace with grandfather? Wouldn't that be equivalent to admitting defeat before grandfather? He probably wouldn't do it even if he were to die." Cousin Wang Zhuyen was the first to ask. The moment she said those words, everyone in the room turned to look at Wang Chong. They couldn't understand why he was so confident that the Yao clan would seek peace. The Yao clan had indeed suffered a setback this time, but it wasn't a huge blow. At the very most, they had only failed to assassinate the Wang clan. Yet, the Wang clan said that the Yao clan's powerful and reclusive old fox, Yao Guang, would seek peace with their old master. This was inconceivable. However, looking at Wang Chong's expression, it didn't seem like he was joking. Thus, everyone waited for his explanation. "Hey, cousin, you don't know. If the Yao clan only lost to our Wang clan, it wouldn't mean much. Old Master Yao wouldn't have to make a move personally. But have you all forgotten? Not too long ago, Old Master Yao reported our Wang clan to His Majesty, the Holy Emperor." Wang Chong sneered coldly. As though a bolt of lightning flashing across their minds, the eyes of everyone in the room lit up. All of a sudden, they understood the meaning behind Wang Chong's words. Right now, what the Yao clan wants to appease isn't the dissatisfaction of our Wang clan, but the dissatisfaction of His Majesty. Anyone with eyes could tell what Yao Guangyi was up to at the borders. Do you think that His Majesty wouldn't be able to tell? Right now, that wily old fox Yao has no choice but to step forward regardless of whether he's willing or not. This is no longer up to him. Yao Guangyi's standing hasn't reached that level yet. That wily old fox doesn't have a choice at all. One can survive a calamity inflicted by the heavens, but one cannot survive a calamity inflicted by oneself. That wily old fox is asking for it. Wang Chong sneered coldly. He wasn't spouting nonsense. From the moment he learned of Yao Guangyi's failure, he had been thinking about this matter. To appease the dissatisfaction and anger of the Holy Emperor, this wasn't something that Yao Guangyi could do. In the entire Yao clan, only Old Master Yao was capable of doing so. Unless the Yao clan didn't want to live a life of glory and wealth, Old Master Yao had no other choice. And paying a visit to his grandfather personally was the best method. Old Master Yao might not say any words of apology, but he had to pay a visit to his grandfather at the Four Quarters Embassy. He had to admit his guilt to the sage emperor in the depths of the palace. This matter had to be done. If nothing goes wrong, that Old Master Yao of the Yao clan will probably make a move in the next 2 days. Wang Chong sneered coldly. Initially, everyone in the hall had a disapproving look on their faces. They thought that Wang Chong was spouting nonsense. But the more they listened, the brighter their eyes lit up. Eventually, they grew excited. "Chong, I've realized that you've changed." Big Aunt Wang Ru Shuang assessed Wang Chong from head to toe with a curious look, as though this was the first time she was meeting Wang Chong. "You would never have said such words in the past. It seems that Ma Zhou's incident really helped you a lot and made you come to your senses." "Ru Shuang, no matter what, Chong'er is a descendant of the old master. Even though he had gone down the wrong path, how could he possibly be lacking? I think that this is his true self. In the past, it was just that he had placed his thoughts elsewhere." Wang Chong's uncle, Li Lin, was a tough man with a face full of stubbles. His back was ramrod straight when he sat, and with a single look, it was clear that he was from the military. In truth, Uncle Li Lin was a soldier, but unlike Wang Chang's father, Wang Yan, he served in the imperial army. He was a tough man, and perhaps due to his position, he had always been a man of few words. Unlike Big Aunt and Big Uncle, Uncle Li Lin had never had any prejudice against Wang Chong. A tiger father would not beget a dog son. In his view, the current Wang Chong was his true self. He is uncle, don't praise him. Children shouldn't be praised too much, or else they might get arrogant. Even though Madame Wang said so, she was overjoyed on the inside. There was no one who disliked others praising their children's intelligence. Wang Chang's performance this time had caught everyone's attention. Even Big Uncle, who had always disliked him, was standing by the side silently. This had helped her gain face. Father, it's just as little brother Chong said. Grandfather will be overjoyed this time. Wang Zhuyan covered her mouth and snickered. Her grandfather and the old master of the Yao clan were sworn enemies, and they had been fighting ever since the previous dynasty. Neither side was willing to submit to the other. If the old master of the Yao clan were to apologize to her grandfather for the sake of his grandson, her grandfather would surely be overjoyed. Wang Chang's big uncle, Wang Zhen, sat there, neither nodding nor shaking his head. Even though what Wang Chong said was just a guess, Wang Zhen knew that there was a high chance that it was as Wang Chong said. Yao Guangyi had fallen into Wang Yan's hands, and the first thing he thought of was to ask the Wang clan about it. If not for Wang Chong's words, he wouldn't have thought of old Master Yao. No wonder the old master would send me here. He must have already thought of this matter regarding the Yao clan. Wang Zhen's mind suddenly cleared up. Turning to look at Wang Chong, his heart was filled with complicated emotions. His third brother, Wang Yan, had 3 sons and a daughter. Putting aside the eldest and second son, even the most useless of them all, the third son had grown up. This would severely threaten his position as the eldest son of the Wang clan. Without a doubt, the authority and influence that the old master had passed down would be diluted once more. This wasn't a good thing for him. But on the other hand, the Wang clan was interdependent. Regardless of whether it was him or Wang Yan, it wasn't a good thing for the other party. If not for Wang Chong's astounding ability to foresee Yao Guangyi's scheme in advance, the Wang clan would have been in deep trouble this time around. As a whole, the more talented and capable the Wang clan had, the more beneficial it would be for the Wang clan. From this aspect, it was a good thing. For a moment, Wang Zhen felt an indescribable feeling in his heart. Big uncle, even though the Yao clan has lost this time, I think that even if the old master of the Yao clan were to apologize to grandfather, we mustn't let our guard down. Observing big uncle Wang Zhen's expression, Wang Chong knew what he was thinking. If it was in his previous life, Wang Chong would have already washed his hands of this matter. But in this life, Wang Chong had long ago known that an apocalyptic calamity was about to descend. In this calamity, the Wang clan mustn't have any internal strife. Wang Chong had to gather all the strength he could use, including Big Uncle. And to achieve this goal, just displaying his capability wasn't enough. He had to change Big Uncle's attitude, and at the very least, he mustn't have any hostility toward him. Even though the Yao clan admitted defeat this time, they didn't do so willingly. I feel that while they were pleading for peace, there's a high chance that they would do something behind the scenes. With His Majesty watching over Father, Big Uncle, Uncle, and Little Uncle, they wouldn't dare to do anything to them. However, it's hard to say for the others. I heard that Big Uncle is currently planning to transfer a cousin's position. Wang Chong looked deeply at Big Uncle Wang Zhen and said, "Wang." Initially, Wang Chong's big uncle Wang Zhen was sitting on his chair, muttering to himself. Upon hearing Wang Chong's words, his body jolted as though he had been electrocuted. He abruptly sat up, and he stared at Wang Chong in disbelief. He had been in the royal court for decades, and with just a hint from Wang Chong, he immediately understood what Wang Chong was trying to say. In that instant, cold sweat began trickling down his back. In order to counter the influence of his third brother, Wang Yan, in the military, he had secretly added his eldest son, Wang Li, into the royal court's promotion list. He hoped to make use of his and the old master's influence to push his eldest son, Wang Li, to a higher position. He didn't alert anyone of this matter, but he had already instructed the Bureau of Military Personnel to handle it. If the Yao clan were to interfere in this matter, it would be disastrous. Although he could not remember the content clearly, he remembered this voice. Wang Chong did not expect to hear it again at this time. "Chong, are you all right?" Wang Chong's mother was the first to notice Wang Chong's strange behavior. "I'm fine." Wang Chong quickly shook his head. Even though he didn't know what was going on, Wang Chong was certain that something important had happened. Mother Wang nodded her head. She thought that Wang Chong was excited. "Zhu Yan, let's go." Not too far away, big uncle Wang Zhen waved his hands and left. He was still worried about his eldest son, Wang Qi, so he didn't want to stay here for a moment longer. In truth, other than Wang Chong himself, no one else in the hall noticed Wang Chong's strange behavior. Even if they did, they would think that he was happy. "Wang Chong, good job. You have made second sister look at you in a different light this time. Remember to visit second sister's place soon." Cousin Wang Zhu Yan stroked Wang Chong's hair before leaving. "Child, you have really changed. Big Aunt is really happy for you. If you have the time, remember to visit Big Aunt." Big Aunt Wang Ru Shuang stood up. "Mei Hua, I'll be leaving first. If you have the time, remember to bring your child there to take a look." "All right, I'll send you off." Madame Wang Zhao Shu Hua stood up to send her off. She was grinning from ear to ear. However, Wang Chong wasn't in the mood to pay her any heed. His mind was in a mess, and all of his attention was focused on the mechanical and emotionless voice. After his mother and the others left, Wang Chong rushed out of the hall and into his room. "Let's go. It has been a long time since I left this place. After staying in the Four Corners Embassy for so long, it's about time for me to head out for a walk." Just as Wang Chong's big uncle Wang Zhen and big aunt Wang Ru Shuang walked out of the Wang family residence, in the eastern courtyard of the Four Corners Embassy, a white-haired elder with sharp eyes stood up from his chair with a dragon-headed cane. The elder didn't seem to be a martial artist, but when he stood up from his seat, a majestic aura gushed out from his body. The entire Four Corners Embassy, as well as the ground beneath his feet, seemed to tremble beneath his feet, accentuating his imposing figure. Upon seeing the elder stand up, all of the imperial army, guards, servants, and maids in the surroundings knelt down. Their heads were lowered, and a look of respect appeared on their faces. It was as though weak insects were looking at a massive elephant in the forest. In fact, in the entire Central Plains, this white-bearded and skinny old man was definitely one of the most authoritative figures in the Central Plains. This person was the pillar of the Yao clan, Duke Yao, Old Master Yao. "Old Master, are you going to meet King Qi?" An old but vigorous voice came from the side. Next to the old man was an old man in his 60s with a deep frown on his forehead. He looked unfathomable and extremely dangerous. He stood there with his body bowed and his expression was very respectful. "Guang Yi has suffered a setback in the south. This matter isn't something he can take responsibility for." Old Master Yao couldn't help but sigh deeply. The Wang clan seems to have an expert helping them this time. The moment those words were spoken, the entire hall fell silent. The atmosphere was terrifyingly stifling. The news that the old master's most valued second son, Yao Guangyi, had suffered a setback by the borders spread like wildfire throughout the capital. Right now, the entire Yao clan had become a laughingstock. At the east side of the Four Quarters Embassy, silence reigned the entire day. No one dared to speak. Privately, everyone was saying that the Wang clan's Wang Gingji had received the guidance of an expert. This expert was even more formidable than Old Master Guangyi. He had even managed to play the decisive and meticulous Old Master Guangyi in the palm of his hands. In fact, there were even some who said that the incident at the vast crane pavilion was a scheme of the other party. However, up until now, no one knew who the expert behind the Wang clan was. In the Wang clan, from Duke Jiu to Wang Yan, none of them were skilled in scheming. Only the eldest son, Wang Zhen, knew a little about it, but it was limited to the royal court. He knew nothing about military affairs. In terms of foresight, he was far from matching up to old Master Guangyi. With the help of such an expert, the Wang clan was like a tiger that had grown wings. This wasn't a good thing for the Yao clan. The old servant, Yao Chun, had been by old Master Yao's side for decades, but from the looks of it, the old master didn't have any good ideas on this matter. Old master, even though second young master isn't a match for you, he has inherited some of your teachings. This time, he has been played by the other party, and all of his intentions have been grasped by the other party. This has never happened before. Furthermore, our men have investigated the matter, but they weren't able to find any traces of the other party. Old master, second young master's opponent isn't simple. You must help him. Yao Guangyi was already in his 40s, but in the words of the old servant, Yao Chun, he was still the second young master. The one who comes doesn't come with good intentions. I have my own way of dealing with this matter. Call Guangyi back. Tell him that this is my order. Tell him not to offend the Wang clan for the time being. Old Master Yao closed his eyes and said after a long moment of silence. The old servant, Yao Chun, was also astonished. He had followed the old master for decades, but this was the first time he had seen the old master adopt a defensive stance before an opponent. Clearly, even the old master found this matter troublesome. But old master, it won't be easy to explain this to King Qi. For something like this to happen by the borders, second young master has failed time and time again. King Qi is currently furious. In the past 3 days, he has already sent 16 tokens to summon second young master back. It isn't a good thing for second young master to be summoned back now. The old servant, Yao Chun, said worriedly. Tell Guangyi not to worry about this matter. I will deal with King Qi. But before that, I have to make a trip to the west to meet my old rival in the Wang clan. Old Master Yao said slowly, and an incomparably bright light flashed across his eyes. Ah! Hearing those words, the old servant, Yao Chun, stared at old Master Yao in shock. Clearly, he didn't expect old Master Yao's words. That person from the Wang clan had fought with the old master ever since they were young. Even though they had been summoned to the Four Quarters Embassy by the sage emperor in the depths of the palace and lived next to each other, they had never interacted with one another. But now, the old master actually wanted to head to the residence of that person from the Wang clan. The old servant was at a loss as to what to say. Don't speak any further. Prepare the things for me, I'll be leaving now. Old Master Yao looked at his old servant and sighed. He knew that although his old servant was extremely talented in martial arts, he knew nothing about politics. His second son, Yao Guangyi, had suffered a crushing defeat by the borders, becoming a laughingstock for everyone. At this moment, it wasn't a matter of whether he wanted to do something or not. Rather, it was a matter of whether the Yao clan could satisfy the emperor in the royal palace. If he was still young, he wouldn't have had to lower his head to that old man in the west. But now, for the sake of his descendants, for the sake of the longevity of the Yao clan, he had no choice but to lower his head. Leaning on his walking stick, old Master Yao walked out of the gates. At the same time, in another location, take out the name register. After leaving the Wang family residence, Wang Chang's big uncle, Wang Zhen, didn't return to his residence. Instead, he rushed to the Bureau of Military Personnel anxiously. Wang Chang's second uncle, Wang Zhen, was a Grade 2 official in the royal court, and he had access to all 6 documents. How could an official from the Bureau of Military Personnel dare to stop him? The official on duty rummaged through the thick bookshelf, and soon, he found the name register that Wang Zhen wanted. Without hesitation, Wang Zhen took the name register and found his eldest son, Wang Qi's name. But soon, upon seeing the circles on the name register, Wang Zhen's heart skipped a beat. He had a bad premonition. Apart from me, who else has checked this roster in the past few days? Wang Zhen asked gravely. The circles on the name register were clearly the work of others. Wang Zhen had only been paying attention to the promotion list of the Bureau of Personnel, but he neglected the fact that Wang Qi belonged to the Bureau of Military Personnel. The Bureau of Military Personnel also had the authority to promote and transfer people. In this period of time, Lord Zhang, Lord Pei, Lord Lu, and Lord Yao have all come to take a look. Previously, Lord Yao received an order from His Highness King Qi to pass the promotion list of the Bureau of Military Personnel to him. But for some reason, a few days ago, we received news that we should put it aside and pass it to him after a period of time. Shua. Hearing those words, Wang Chang's big uncle, Wang Zhen's face paled. He placed his hands on the table, and cold sweat trickled down his forehead. Wang Chang's big uncle, Wang Zhen, sucked in a deep breath, and for a long time, he was unable to speak. He felt as though he had just escaped from the jaws of a tiger. He thought that no one would know about the matter regarding his eldest son, Wang Qi, so he secretly slipped it into the promotion list without telling anyone. He thought that he could wait until the very last moment to secretly help Wang Qi get promoted. He didn't expect the Yao clan to notice it so early on. If not for Wang Chang's reminder, he might have already sent his own son into the hands of the Yao clan. Even though Wang Zhen didn't know much about military affairs, he knew that the reason why the Yao clan had the Bureau of Military Personnel send the name register to them was to transfer their eldest son, Wang Qi, to their camp. Wang Qi was still young, and given the cunning of the Yao clan's father and son, they could easily find an excuse to open a gap in Wang Qi and attack the entire Wang clan. If that were to happen, it would be too late for him to regret it. Oh Lear, I nearly harmed you. Wang Zhen sighed in relief. If not for Wang Chang's timely reminder, he might have committed a grave mistake. Welcome to Legends of Cultivation audiobooks, where we bring ancient fantasy to life through storytelling. Follow the rise of heroes who defy fate, unlock mystical powers, and battle across celestial realms. Our audiobooks are crafted for fans of Chinese cultivation novels, filled with battles, breakthroughs, and legendary artifacts. Subscribe and be part of an unforgettable journey into the realm of immortality.